I couldn't let the week pass without talking to Ryan Mauro. He's a Capital Research Center investigative researcher, counterterrorism expert. He is the guy that really, the DOJ is preparing probes into Soros and the Open Society, everything else, because of what Ryan did and exposed on this program. What was it, last week, 2 weeks ago? When was that, Ryan?
I think it was about a week ago. It's just a lot has happened.
Yeah, I know. It has. And now, I mean, first of all, explain what you exposed and then what the DOJ is doing.
Sure. So when I was doing my regular investigation into the anti-Israel, anti-Semitic groups, the question of funding was always coming up. And so I had this amazing realization, which is that nobody had gone through all of George Soros' grants from his Open Society foundations to all of these different groups. It had just been drips and drabs, but no one had actually systematically gone through it all. So it took me many months, but I did that. And the grand total, based on his own records, was over $80 million since 2016, going to domestic terrorist and criminal groups in the U.S. and pro-terrorism groups in the U.S. and around the world, including many that very obviously tied to foreign terrorist groups, both communist and Islamist. And so we put together this report. I released it with you on Charlie Kirk's program exactly 1 week after his martyrdom. And I know that you and your team did everything that you could to get it to President Trump. I was using my own contacts, obviously much fewer. I started hearing some good things, but you never know. And then it just gets reported yesterday by the New York Times that citing this report that we released, the Justice Department from the Deputy AG actually put out orders to attorneys in, I think, 6 states to prepare probes into Soros and the Open Society Foundations, and I hope the grantees, and not just all the way at the top. And there's a whole bunch of other things that can be done beyond what's being talked about and argued about right now that aren't being talked about, and I hope soon are, because there's easier, more effective things that can be done.
Like what?
This is a bad thing. I mean, take away the tax-exempt status. Like, the majority of the report is showing about how there's a spot in the IRS tax code saying that a tax-exempt nonprofit cannot engage in criminal activity. They can't sponsor it. They can't participate in it, even use the word encourage at one point. And so that seems to me the logical starting point. And the most radical groups, including one, Truth Out, actually wrote an article about our research that we did on the Anti-Israel Network, and they were freaking out. They said that this would be that doing this type of thing would result in, I believe they called it a quick death for most groups, and the ones that remain, they said, would suffer from mass chaos. So they said that's the option that's going to hurt them the most. And then there's a bunch of other things I could also propose.
This is why when Trump and Elon Musk went after USAID, they freaked out, because that was a source of a lot of funding going to these NGOs, and they couldn't have those cut off. When you go after somebody like Soros and the Open Society, where his fingers are in almost every pie, it's right. It will cause chaos, but they're not going to go away quietly. They're not going to just take it. What do you think? What's the other side of this?
I think they're going to, at the very least, try to turn it into a political victory and then get more aggressive as they start losing. But I think they still don't get it. I think that they're nervous, but they're not panicking like they should because they're so arrogant. Because when you go to their website, they say the grants that are on their website, which is the basis of this report, those are the ones they're comfortable sharing. They said if releasing this information could damage the operations of themselves or a grantee, they're not going to put it there. So this horrific stuff is what they're comfortable telling the world and then feeling like they can get away with. And their public statement that they put out was basically just no, we're not doing that. Didn't deal with a single fact, nothing. Just they're trying to take our free speech away. As if everyone is just guaranteed tax-exempt status no matter what you do.
Right.
No, that's a privilege. That's why it exists. But yeah, it's going to heat up.
So the Open Society Foundation, let me take 3 organizations, and you tell me, how are they connected to terror? The Sunrise Movement.
So they're supposedly just about climate change. Actually, they're very favorable towards the Chinese Communist Party, and they say they're nonviolent, but they don't condemn violence fully, and that's why they promote things like the Antifa anarchists in Stop Cop City and tell people to donate to them.
The movement for Black Lives. This is not Black Lives Matter, Inc., is it? Or is it?
It's not. They would say they're part of the movement, but then the movement has entities within it, and so this would be a powerhouse within them. They endorsed the October 7th attack, and then they and a bunch of other Soros-linked groups put together a protest guide that you think is just about how to talk to people and put something like that together. No, there's instructions and incitement for criminal activity and stuff that would qualify as domestic terrorism in it.
How are you going to get, because George Soros has got to have some of the best attorneys in the world. How are you going to get it to him, or does it matter that it goes to him?
This network is so big that you can do a lot of good without it getting to him, but I think you can get it to him. I mean, at the very least, ripping away the tax-exempt status would that would just cripple his network. He has so much money that he'd still be around. But that would be a very bad situation for him. There's other things you can do, like designating foreign entities and individuals as transnational criminal organizations or for involvement in terrorism and other things, and then kind of stitch it together, because that would sever the link between the U.S. and the international networks, and then that gives you the basis for launching investigations against those that are in the United States and have those ties, because that's evidence of criminal activity. So there's a whole range of things that could be done.
Any idea how long you think this is going to take the Justice Department before they actually are ready to press charges or do whatever it is they're going to do?
I don't know. The impression I get is that it's very urgent, and Trump is definitely demanding immediate action, and he's not the most patient man in the world. So I imagine that you'll hear things moving.
Yeah.
I think if it's fully grasped what can be done through the Treasury Department and IRS with the tax-exempt situation, and if they were to have a meeting with folks who study this, like Capital Research Center and myself, it would not be hard for us to deliver the damning evidence that they need against organization after organization after organization. And just one day you just start hearing about dozens of groups and then dozens more groups having their statuses removed. And politically, it would be a hellstorm. I mean, it'd be quite the fight, but it'd be one well worth it, and one that I believe we would win.
Tell me what you know, if anything, about the John Brown Society.
The John Brown Gun Club.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they are Antifa. They would call themselves anti-fascist, even though they don't put Antifa in their name. But they have material that is in favor of the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine on their website, and they're basically a militia, even though they deny it. And that's also where I try to stop saying far left and far right in regards to these organizations, because they're very pro-gun. Like there is some truth to like the idea that there's like a complete circle where you go really far to one side, you end up on the other side of the spectrum,
right?
Because they're very pro-gun, militia-like, and PFLP, the group that they are quite fond of, participated in the October 7th attack. So that's a little bit concerning. In fact, most of this infrastructure, even though they're pro-Hamas, is actually more loyal to PFLP, the Marxist-Leninist terrorist group that almost no one talks about, even though October 7th was a joint communist Islamist terrorist attack. It's just everyone just thinks of Hamas and kind of leaves it there.
Gosh, you remember when I said that Islamists and communists would work together, and everybody said that was nuts, and I'm like, of course they would. They want to destroy us and the Western world first. They'll absolutely work together until they've accomplished that. Then it's going to get ugly. Then it'll get ugly.
Yeah, they basically merged now. Like you were right about that then, and then it became increasingly true. And now it's like one machine where you hit a button and they all work together. And so you have the anarchists there. You have all sorts of extremists in there. And that's why I personally call it the seditionist movement, and sometimes the global seditionist movement, because there's foreign governments involved in this. Because even the white supremacists and people that would be called supposedly far right, when you tackle the problem like I do, and you're in that ecosystem 24/7, you see that it's almost like a single entity, and it's all of us who mean well and want civil society to function well, even if we disagree on everything. It's all of us on one side, and then it's all these other guys who want to basically burn everything down and spread poison everywhere. They're on the other side.
Ryan, thank you so much for everything you do. I couldn't let the week go by without saying congratulations and thank you. Says somebody who's watched
Thank you
George.
so much.
You bet. As somebody who's watched George Soros forever and ever and ever and been saying, why aren't we looking into any of this? Finally, you did, and now the government is taking heed, and maybe we'll see some justice here. So thank you.